Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Hammertime. It is a lockdown tradition now to have our live show. And I'm so excited to be with you. I've missed you all this week, and our whole church family is the same. Loving to see all these comments coming up on the screen. Hello to Talitha and Jess. Josh Lewis and family, great to have you here. Please keep all the comments going. I'm not even going to be able to keep up. There's just so many going on. And the Charlton crew are here, Richard and Jules, and how exciting about Passion Church coming in 2022. I tell you, this is exciting. We're going to have an absolute blast tonight. And so I am going to invite in one of our absolute favorites, and that is Pastor Joe Rossi. He's very excited because there have been some exciting things that he has been doing in lockdown. So let's find Pastor Joe. Here we go. Hello, Bob and Joe.
Hello, everyone. Am I coming through?
Yeah, you got a few internet issues, but that's all right. We'll make do. So, Pastor Joe, how's your lockdown week been? It's been good. It's been good. What have you been doing to pass?
Good. Been watching a lot of the European soccer, the European championships that Italy are about to win in a few days' time. So
you seem pretty confident there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there might be a bit of contention around that.
The English think that they're somehow going to get there, but the English always get their hopes up.
Well, they've never won it. So
yeah, that's right. They've never won it.
This could be their year.
So.
Hey, drop us a link in the comments below if you are in agreement or disagreement with our Pastor Joe. I've got my Danish roots and we're still in the competition. So, we're going to see how it all goes.
Yeah.
But otherwise, lockdown's been good. Hey, Pastor Joe. Yeah. We'll come back to that in a moment. But
it's been very good.
Fantastic. You've been doing your devotion?
Absolutely. Got my devotion right here. Started this morning. So we've been looking at the book of 1 Samuel. So it's been fantastic. Yes, been great. Absolutely. So I trust that everyone out there is getting into their devotion one chapter a day. Really, really exciting. Well, hey, we've got a couple of comps for tonight. Each of them will attract a $50 Uber Eats voucher. And so you want to win this. You can use it while in lockdown. Hopefully we're out of lockdown by tomorrow night. But, we're going to be ready. No matter what happens, we're good. We've got some resilience. But the first competition is going to be, we want you to take a photo of your family or yourself or you and your pet in lockdown. The most impressive, creative photo that you can put up tonight could win you a $50 Uber Eats voucher. And Pastor Joe, do you know who's going to be the judge of this? I believe it is Talitha. I think Talitha's.
No, it's not Ben. It is our very own Pastor Taryn. Pastor Taryn is going to invite us into her home.
Well, who? Pastor who?
Oh, Joe.
I remember Pastor Taryn.
Come on, she's not been gone that long. Show some love. Right? Show some love.
Sorry, Pastor Taryn. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, we're getting a lot of people putting in the comments about who's going to win the Euro Championship, Pastor Joe. And I think that Hammer, she seems like a very wise woman. We might just keep that one up there for a moment. Hey, in all seriousness, if you want to win that first competition, you need to make sure that you upload that photo, put it up on one of the Facebook pages, and we will be judging that at the very end of the night. Now, the second competition, I'm going to need you to go, Pastor Joe. I'm going to take you off because our next competition, we are going to put our campus pastors and department leaders head to head. There is nothing like coming into lockdown and having an all-in family feud. And so we're going to do a little bit of that. We're going to do it in Euro 2021 style putting tournament together. And so it is my privilege to welcome up our first contenders for tonight. Let me just quickly explain how it's going to work. We have got our teams that are going to be fighting it out. They are going to be wanting to win the Campus Cup. Now, I couldn't quite go into the office this afternoon justifying it as an essential work sort of duty. So we've got a replacement Campus Cup today, which also is my son's T-ball trophy. I have to replace that one. He'll be pretty upset if I steal it. But basically, we've got our tournament here. And so the goal is you're going to fight it out step at a time. Then we're going to have the semi-finals. Then we're going to come to the final, and the winner will win the Campus Cup. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome up our college director, Derek Lindsay. Pastor Derek and Quinana.
Hi, everyone.
We have got Rob Moffat. Very exciting to have you there.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Very good, very good. I'm just playing around trying to get the best view here, but we'll go with this. And so the first questions for you. Now, actually, before we do that, tell us, Derek, what is happening with college this term? We have a new semester starting.
Yes, college is starting on July the 20th. Now, I couldn't believe it when Peter said I was coming on here. I spent so long messing around in my office, trying to get the lighting right, trying to get everything looking good. If we put that much attention into building our spirits and building our walk with God through things like Bible college, we'd all be a lot better off. And so we're starting on July 20. We've got part-time and full-time options. Have a look at our website if you want to find out more, or email me or contact me.
Love that. Love that. All right. Well, we are going to get straight into our first question. Are you ready? All right.
Ready.
Question number one, who is the closest? I forgot something. You're actually playing for a challenger at home. So if you win, the person that you nominate will get a $50 Uber Eats voucher. So Derek, who are you playing for?
I'll play for Emily.
Very cool, Emily. And Rob, who are you playing for?
Who's on there from Quinana? Monique Magodo. We're playing for them.
All right, pressure's on. Question number one.
I'd just like to say we've already got the trophy here, so job done.
All right. So you don't feel the pressure so much. All right, question one. Who is closest to being eligible for the AstraZeneca vaccine? Pastor Joel or Pastor Joe?
Joe.
Pastor Joe, that's right.
Very good, Rob. Your first question. If you get the next one right, you will progress. Question number two. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you get the question wrong, it's an own goal and the other team will get the point. Question number two. How many car park bays will Maddington get if the car park is approved? How many additional car park bays?
53.
I'll take that as
Derek, I'm going to give you a chance to guess.
I'll just take Rob's. I'll say more than 53.
Okay, you're wrong. Rob, you progressed through. Derek, I'm sorry, 39 extra bays. So I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you so much. We are going to go to the next round. Okay, our next one is going to be Maddington versus online. We have Pastor Jazz and we have Talitha. Welcome, welcome. How exciting.
Hey.
Hi.
All right. So are you ready for your first questions? We're going to dive straight into it. Question number one. What is the name of the current preaching series and church devotional?
The good, the bad, and the godly.
I'm going to give it to Pastor Jazz. Also, because she goes to my favorite campus. Too honest? All right.
No, that's great.
Question number two. It's great to see you both. We love you very much. And we'll make the next question very, very open. Which campus has the most people in their life with Centrepoint Facebook group?
Like.
Correct, Talitha. All right, we're down to extra time, the tiebreaker. Where does our Byford campus meet?
The Byford Secondary College.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, Talitha. You're through. But Jazz, how great is it to see you tonight? All the best for lockdown. We'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Tell you, the pressure is building. We are working through these. our next competition is, I forgot to check who Talitha was playing for. We've got to make sure we do that. But our next round is the battle of the kids versus the youth pastors. So let's bring up Pastor Sam and Pastor Mel, our citywide kids and youth directors. Firstly, who are you playing for tonight?
I'm playing for Josh Lewis, the Lewis family.
Very cool.
I'm going to play for Jairah Hamilton.
Jairah Hamilton, absolutely. Hey, just a real quick one, Pastor Mel, what's happening in a couple of weeks' time or a week's time?
On the 10th of July, we have got Kids Night In, Parents Night Out. So parents, if you need a night off, can't afford a babysitter, want the kids to have a great time, burn off some energy right in the middle of the school holidays, send them to us. You can register online for $5 per child. They get dinner, games, video, looked after while you go have some time to yourself.
Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. And Sam, when does youth return?
Youth returns on the 23rd of July, week 1 of school, and we hope to see you at all of our campuses.
Absolutely. All right. Question number 1. What year did Byford campus launch?
2015.
It was 8 years
Incorrect.
ago. It was 8
Incorrect.
years ago. So
2018. No, 2018. I know, it feels like they've been part of the family for longer. So, Mel, you got the first point. What are the names of the first 3 kings of Israel? A clue that in 1 Samuel.
Saul, David, Solomon.
Very good, Pastor Sam. Is that 1 apiece?
Yes.
Did you get it? 1 apiece. Okay. What facility does our Kwinana campus meet in?
The Kulini Arts Centre.
I got it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mel has got it. Congratulations,
Yes.
Mel.
Go, Jackie.
Pastor Sam, you are gone, but great to see you tonight. We'll catch you later. And our final, he didn't seem too happy there, did he? Our final round for this section is Pastor Joe and our very own Pastor Joel. Byford versus Bimbra Lake. Pastor Joel,
yes.
How's lockdown treating you?
Doing well, guys.
Here we go.
Doing great. Come on, Joey. I'm going to take you down. Joey just had his
Come on, young man.
today.
Oh, come on. All right. Keep it on the field. Are you ready? In what year did Maddington...
We haven't told you who
we're playing for. Okay. Who are you playing for?
I'm going to play for Brianna Scottford.
Brianna Scottford. There's a lot of pressure riding on you, Pastor Joel. What about you, Pastor Joe?
I'm going to be playing for Rebecca Lee Hackett. So I'll be playing for Rebecca.
Oh, okay. All right. Some quality people here. Are you ready? What year did Maddington become a Centrepoint campus?
2010. 2010.
2010 is correct. 210 is not the answer.
I wasn't around.
It's like 1,000 years off. So, Pastor Joe, you got the first one. Next question. How many grand finals have West Coast Eagles won?
3, 4.
4.
Pastor Joe, your first answer was 3, and the correct answer is 4. So I'm going to have to give that to Pastor Joe. So it all comes down to this penalty kick out.
It's all right. It's okay.
How many grand finals have the Fremantle Dockers won?
Sure. 0.
1 is correct. Pastor Joe, you have won this section. See you later, Pastor Joe.
See you, Joey.
What a way to go out. All right, so the stakes are pretty high. We are going to move to our next round, and I am going to bring up our online campus pastor and our kids pastor. Pastor Joe, why are you still there? There we go. All right. Are you ready for the semi-finals? Yes, please.
I'm going to be a good daughter and go for my dad, John Hardy.
Oh, how sweet.
Oh, come on. That's awesome. Okay. What is the prophetic theme for 2021 for our church?
I love it. It's there.
Called, chosen, anointed. You're called, you're chosen, you're anointed. The actual word.
Yes. Believers. All right, I'll give you that one. Pastor Mel.
Yes, priesthood believers.
Next one. What is the name of Pastor Mitch and Pastor Taryn's baby?
Jairah.
Jairah Jude.
Very good. Letha comes down to this one. Name 3 of this year's miracle offering projects.
Bibra Lake, Maddington, and Empire.
There's a bit more to it, but yes, I'm going to give you all of that. Well done, Letha. Well. We'll catch you later.
Bye.
All right, let's bring up our next contenders, Pastor Joel and I can't remember if Pastor Derek or Rob won.
Rob.
I'm going to get them up and be honest. Who won? I think it was Rob, wasn't it?
Rob.
All right, see you, Derek. Okay.
Come on, Robbie.
Are you ready?
Come on, Robbie.
I'll go easy on you, mate. It's all right.
Okay. Hang on. I've lost my questions. Okay. Which campus have all of our current campus pastors come from?
Bibra Lake.
Maddington.
Incorrect. They have all traced their roots to Maddington. Pastor Robin Heidi, Maddington. Pastor Mitch and Taryn, Maddington. Pastor Pete and Dora, Maddington. Pastor Joe and Lisa, Maddington. Josh and Talitha, Maddington. I tell you, there's something in the water there. What chapter will you find the account of David and Goliath?
1 Samuel 16.
Correct. Down
Didn't
to
even try.
In what month did Centrepoint Church launch?
October.
May.
May is correct. I'm sorry, Rob. Pastor Joel, you know a bit about your church, which I'm very relieved by. Well done.
I had to give it to him. He sent me a message beforehand saying make sure I had to lose, so it was all good.
Well, we'll hear all about this on Facebook after. Okay, Pastor Joel, I'm going to keep you up there because we're up to the grand final.
Oh.
Between yourself and Talitha, two of our most important people in our church. What is the Centrepoint Church mission statement?
To rescue the lost, restore the broken, release the willing.
I don't agree with that.
You go to the next question, Pastor Joel. If you get the next one correct, you will win. What was the church that was warned to come back to its first love in the book of Revelation?
Say that again?
Which church was warned to come back to its first love in the book of Revelation?
I can guess. Do you want to guess, Talitha, first? She's looking it up. It's Is it Laodicea?
No, that's the hot and the cold.
But
because you guessed, Talitha gets the point.
Oh!
Yes, I'm just going to claim that one. I'm going to try.
Okay, and name one of the guests that we have in the interview for tonight.
Louise.
Very good, Talitha. You have won it. Congratulations, grand final winner. And who were you playing?
Gave that to you. You know I gave that to you.
Who are you playing for?
We'll go with, right? We'll go with that story.
Very good, very good. Talitha, who have you gone for? Who did
My dad.
John Hardy. Congratulations. You have won yourself a $50 Uber Eats voucher. Thank you to all of our staff for playing along. Much, much appreciated. As you can tell, we do like to have a lot of fun. And yes, congratulations to Talitha. Well, we're in store for a real treat today. I had the privilege of having a chat earlier today to our interviewees. Rick and Louise Pekan are incredible people. Whenever I speak to them, they really bring your faith to life. They live out what they believe. And I know that you're going to be so, so blessed tonight. So would you welcome via comments and emojis on your Facebook page, Rick and Louise? Welcome tonight.
Hey, thanks for having us. This is fun. I want to play the quiz.
Oh, I know. There's some pretty intense moments there. So
yeah.
You've got to have fun, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Now, before we get into a little bit of content tonight, something that perhaps not everyone knows is that we have known each other for a little while, haven't we?
We have, yeah. You are the world's best soccer coach, I think, was the card that my son gave to you when he was 5. So you were there on the sidelines and coaching him a few years back, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that Sharon Chalaya was the world's best team manager for our kids in soccer. So we've got a strong soccer Centrepoint connection.
Absolutely. I've actually got a note here from Caden saying, Coach Pete, can I please be in the goals? Love, Caden. A couple of pictures at the bottom. Keep it to this day. Very, very special. Well, for a Centrepoint family that haven't yet met you, I'd love them to get to know a little bit about you. So firstly, tell us, who are you? Tell us a bit about your family.
Well, my name is Rick. This is my wife, Louise. We have a full house. We have 6 kids. We live in Melville, and my wife has grown up in Perth. You can hear a little bit of my accent. I grew up and was born and raised in Chicago, and have lived here in Perth for the last 13 years now. Wow, absolutely. And you've come from Chicago, Rick, and Louise, you lived in Chicago for a few years. What brought you back to Perth?
Look, we met in Chicago. I was 18 when we met. I went over as an au pair, like a nanny, and we were great friends in that year. And we ran a small group together for international students and au pairs, and had a great time doing that as good friends. And then when I got back to Perth when my year ended, just before I was offered an internship at the church over there. So just before I went back, I started getting these messages from this guy that, used to drive me places. And he was there to pick me up at the airport when I got there, and sort of the rest is history there. Mm-hmm. So we got married in Chicago. We had our first son. He was a honeymoon baby. So he was around by our first anniversary. And and then between the global financial crisis, a real hunger to be back with family and close to my mum with this little baby that I had, we came back to Perth. I told Rick we'd come back for 2 years, and that was 13 years ago.
And some of you might know I've often presented churches, so I usually introduce myself by saying, my name is Rick, and I was born and raised in Chicago. When I married an Aussie, I married a Perth girl, and I kind of want to live in Chicago, and she wanted to live in Perth, so we compromised and moved to Perth. So
yes, that's no choice right there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I love it. Chicago obviously has a pretty special place in your hearts, and I know that you were very involved there. It was such a defining part of your lives. What are some of the things that you experienced there that have actually shaped what you're doing today? We'll talk about what you're doing today, but what are some of those defining moments?
Well, I grew up in the local church. I actually, as a young child, was at an Assemblies of God church, but was involved in a non-denominational church called Community Christian Church. I led small groups in high school. I actually was known as someone who planted over 14 small groups as a high school student, because we had student-led small groups. And so I had a reputation at church of being someone who loved community and relationally loved on people. And, I went to uni. But then as I was in young adult ministry, I met Louise. I also was very formed in my uni days and somewhat at my church days by the idea of social justice and loving the community. I grew in a very white, affluent neighborhood. But one of those professors, and I talked about this last year when the Black Lives Matter stuff was kind of coming to the bubbling up, that one of my professors actually took us to the city to meet with African-American pastors over breakfast and taught us how to listen and taught us how to hear different voices and meet with different people who came from different backgrounds. And it really formed me in what I'll talk about later with my ministry, and also formed me in who I am and who we are as a family, and our commitment to love those in need, and to just kind of care for the people who look and feel different to us.
Yeah.
Wow.
My home church as well, weren't you, Louise?
Yeah. So I was working for Community Christian Church, and there was some really great, winning phrases that kind of were around the leadership, and one of them was that we needed to lead with a yes. You needed to, when someone asked for something, you needed to have that as your go-to and figure out the details afterwards. And another part of what we did was it was very much a multiplication culture, that everyone who was in leadership, whether you were teaching the nursery, baby room, or whether you were a youth leader or the senior pastor, you needed to know who your Timothy was. Who were you discipling? Who were you bringing up alongside you to be able to send them out to the next campus, or to be able to, bring them into your role so you could move up into a coaching position or whatever that meant. And that was at all levels across the church. So those lessons we learned have really shaped how we do ministry here in Perth, and they still are the go-to phrases that we come back to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the prerequisite of any ministry role was actually you need an apprentice. You need someone you're training to develop, who you then send off, or you go and plant the new thing. That was one of the things you had to do in any ministry leadership context.
I think what I'm hearing is that there was this cultivating of a heart for people, and particularly those that were most vulnerable, in that time in Chicago, and obviously representing your own hearts as well. But coupled with that was this sense of leadership and strategy, and when you can bring those two together, it's something powerful. And speaking of that, I mean, that really is what you're both doing today. You're sort of in different fields from an organizational point of view, but very much beating the same heart. I'm going to start by having a bit of a conversation about the Bible Society, because Rick, I believe you've been a part of the Bible Society since 2015 now. You look after the community engagement and church engagement, which obviously with a title like the Bible Society, that's a pretty important role. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what's coming up for the Bible Society that you're excited about.
Yeah, so my role is really to build partnership with churches and community groups and groups that support us around Western Australia. And like you said, I've been involved in this for 2015, and we have amazing projects around the world, in countries around the world, throughout the Asia region, but even in Africa and the South Pacific and South America, where we basically build financial partnerships and we build prayer partnerships, really to help people open the Bible around the world. But a particular project, and something that Bible Society is probably in some ways on the catch-up on, is to help bring the Bible to our Indigenous, our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander brothers and sisters around Australia, because we actually only have one full Bible in the dozens, if not hundreds of languages around Australia. So we really kind of have some catch-up work to do with that. And so it's been a big passion of mine to really motivate and connect our churches like Centrepoint, churches like around Australia, who are actually trying to figure out, how do we connect with our Aboriginal brothers and sisters. And so for many, this amazing story is we're actually putting the Bible in their heart language, locally here in Noongar country, what you'd call the southwest corner of Western Australia.
That's so exciting, isn't it? I've actually got a copy of the translation of Luke. So it was translated from English into Noongar and then back into English, so that you can actually read side by side as it is in the original language. This is an important project for more than just encouraging people to read the Bible, and that in itself is a great cause. But what are some of the other benefits of this particular project?
Yeah, well, it's interesting to note that it took a group of Noongar people about 20 plus years to translate that book into Noongar with that back translation in English. And some of that is because they had to go make it as a template for the revival of language. They had to make decisions about words. Like, for example, there was no Noongar word for God. So they had to they call it engineer a term they call Bulangayira, which is the Noongar word for the Most High. So they really had to work hard to sort of get agreement on the words and the languages. But we've seen now that this is a template for teaching language, for revival of language. It's our Bible historian calls it a world first in Bible translation, because it's reviving language, a language that's near extinction, that's a potential of being lost. But that's one of the longest pieces of literature in Noongar language. So the big phrase we use is this giving back something to the Noongar people, something that they've lost, something that in many ways has been taken from them. There's a generation of great grandparents and even grandparents of Noongar people who remember being beaten for speaking their own language. And so the powerful story is that the Bible is giving them back something and really leading to not just a revival of culture, but over 50% of Aboriginal people identify as Christians. So it's actually putting faith back in, but giving it more meaning because it's actually spoken into their culture. And language is the key kind of fabric, the interweaving of all different types of culture for Noongar people. And some of you may have traveled overseas, but you know that language, you put the Bible in someone's heart language, it brings the gospel to life in ways that very few other things in culture can.
I've got a little clip here from the translator, Tom Little. And so let's see how my technical skills go, but we'll see if we can bring that one up.
English is a fine language, but it doesn't have that cultural content that is within my own heart and my own language. My language tells me what is on my country as far as plants and animals, food sources, of places that are safe havens, of places to avoid. These are all things that I only know in my language, and I can only express them in my language.
Hey, wasn't that something special, eh? I just love that. It really is placing honour and value, not only on the Word of God, but on Indigenous people or Noongar people. And I just love that this translation here is, to the best of our knowledge, the longest piece of literature that's ever been translated into the Noongar language. It really is bringing to life this incredible language and this incredible history and culture that goes with that. We will be celebrating NAIDOC Week in coming weeks, in coming times, and we're going to dedicate a Sunday to that. It was going to be this Sunday, but we want to do it well, and we can't do that without being able to plan into it with the current restrictions. Hopefully we lift, but we definitely will be coming back to revisit that. So thank you for sharing that, Rick.
No worries. Yeah, and it was just the point I'll kind of close on is that it's only the church that has helped put that piece of literature into language. Yes. It's the Christians supporting this project. Even going back to, I see John Hardy watching in, people like him who have led Bible study over time, but many others. So it's an opportunity for the church to give back to the Noongar people locally. So thanks for letting me share that story, Pete.
No, thank you. Thank you. It honestly is so inspiring, and you can just see the heart of God beating with every part of what you're saying there. I just love it. We are going to continue this whole thing about, God's heart, but we're going to go down a little bit of a different track because the two of you, on top of doing all that you do with Bible Society, you also foster parents and are involved in championing fostering across WA. I was speaking with you earlier today, and between over the last 11 years, together you've fostered over 60 or around 60 children. Which is just incredible. How does your faith kind of connect you with this heart for looking after children?
I think it's it's certainly something that has always been on my heart, even growing up, knowing who God was, but not particularly within a church context. I knew I had a call to care for kids, and always presumed that I'd do, one day would go off to an orphanage and look after children, there. And as I've grew older and, life sort of started happening, kind of went, actually, I don't have to go anywhere to do this. There are plenty of children that are fatherless in our own community. And that's what God has, tells us to take care of the fatherless. And in our context here in Australia, it's not the typical orphan that you would think of. It's the children that haven't got opportunity, whose parents are outside of, being able to care for them in a whole way. And those that are most risk end up in the foster care system. So that's where we've been able to care for, lots of children. And the numbers, that number's big, but we've done such short-term care for a long time. We were that emergency phone call in the middle of the night or at 5 o'clock on a Friday, and had many of those children for a weekend or up to a few months, and it's only just been in the last few years that we've stepped into saying yes to having 2 little boys who have joined our family now on long-term orders. So they came for a little while and they've stayed nearly 4 years and 3 years now, and they'll be here forever, which is a whole different ball game in the fostering journey too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you're moving house and you've got a few boxes behind you there. But as we were talking before, what really, really touched me was you were talking about every one of those 60 children that have been fostered, long-term, the 2 long-term, but also every other short-term one. You've actually got a photo of in your hallway, and that you pray over them, declare the promises of God over them. You couldn't think of anyone better to be able to speak into foster caring. I guess I want to talk about it from a perspective of what we can do as the church, because you had a conversation with the Department of Child Protection, the Armidale branch, and they came and they spoke to you about the pressing need. Would you be able to tell us, what was that conversation? What did they say? And then what can we do about it?
Yeah. So I am the state manager for an organisation, a faith-based Christian organisation called ARC Australia, and we work in 2 ways. We support foster carers in connecting them together to be extended family for each other, and we want to step into churches and to be able to share what the needs are in the community and to work on other child protection departments to recruit great families to step into this crazy life. So I had been meeting with a member of the Child Protection Unit at Armidale for a long time. We actually were, friends who went to high school together, and she just happened to be had a job there. It's all about who you know. And we had lots of conversations, and she wanted my input as a foster carer, while also being interested in what we were doing and trying to build that trust into what is the church trying to do with foster kids. And once we kind of were able to build that trust together, that we weren't there to try and convert all these kids or to grow our churches in massive numbers. It was really about stepping out to say we are a safe place and a safe family for these children who need one, and we're willing to do those hard yards and do it together with each other. So Armidale, in 2019, I think it was, they had over 150 children come into their foster care, either for the first time or come back into foster care. And throughout that year, they only recruited 4 new families. And that was actually the most any district across WA recruited, and that was still only 4. So there's this massive difference between what the need is for for good quality homes and what is available. They came to us, to ARC, to me and to ARC, and asked us to go alone into churches to speak and to either prepare a message or to share with the churches in a mission spot about what foster care is, and to invite people to an information session that is run jointly by ARC and by CPFS, and share there. And so the district director there gets up and he shares, and it's the exact same information session that anyone would go to, and you have to meet all of the normal criteria. There's no special treatment given, but it's a place where is recognised, and it's great that they're recognising that the church is somewhere where you can find some great families who can do this hard thing.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking about, we've got 2 campuses that operate on either side of the Armidale district. We've obviously got Maddington and Byford, which fits within that district. Mm-hmm. And within those campuses, I know that we've got a number of families that already foster. But, it is important that, if we do sense that God is calling us to it, that this is something that we can actually practically do. You emphasize, Louise, when we talk about, who should become a foster carer, your first response was anyone that God calls.
Yes.
Could you explain why that is so important? And I guess some of the practical things as well to consider if someone wants to be a foster carer.
Look, I think God's given us all different abilities and gifts, and we're never going to be able to do what is necessary unless He calls us to it. And if God's called you to it, then He'll call you through it, I guess, as well. So, everyone. I think it's important that everyone. It's acknowledged that not everyone's called to be a foster carer, but everyone is called to do something. And so for those who have that little bit of that beating heart of, I've always wanted to foster, it's something I've thought about, to actually kind of go, well, what's stopping you? Because if God's calling you to it, then who are you to say no? And to, the fear is always there. And so many people, and we did too, that fear of getting too attached, or the fear of, having to say goodbye. And to that I say, there's two things I think people really, really need to walk into fostering understanding for themselves, and it's their motivation. Are you motivated to be building your own family, which means you want to have children that are going to come and stay long term, or are you motivated to be a family for a child who is in a crisis, and you might be that family for a weekend, you might be that family for months, or for 18 years, you just never really know. And foster care at its heart is about getting children back to their first families, because that's where that's when restoration happens, and that should be celebrated when that happens. And walking the journey alongside a biological family who's working hard to do that is both a joy and a privilege, and emotionally difficult and really hard. So that's where the calling comes in to it.
Yes.
You've got to be called to this kind of crazy life, really.
Yeah. And I need to add, I think what's important in both these issues, the foster care and the Indigenous issue, is that to acknowledge that the church in its history is very mixed. The perception of the outside world is very mixed. Our history involvement in both these areas is very mixed. But it also, going back in way back church history, it was Jesus who called us to care for the orphans and the widows and the underprivileged in our community. So it's our, in a sense, I don't want to say responsibility, but calling of the church to support these missions in our midst. And so for many listening, you might have foster carers who are listening who are, in a sense, functional, a lot like people who have gone overseas and gone on mission. There's people doing that locally. So how can your church support the local foster carers? Or how can people say, look, I don't know if I want to foster care, but how can I help and support? There are practical ways that you can help these families who are bringing in kids to make a difference with the thousands of kids who are coming in out of home care. How can we be a positive voice, not a confrontational voice, not an empire voice, but an actual loving voice? Because the reality is, like you said, government departments are desperate for people to just come, help, and serve and love these kids without any agenda other than just loving the kids.
We have got on the 27th of this month, of July, an interest night for anyone that's considering, thinking about it, wondering if God has called them. And, maybe you're watching online tonight and you're thinking, this could be for me. Well, I want to invite you to come along to it. Louise, you're going to be speaking at that event. It's very low key, very informal. You're not signing any contracts at that stage. Is that correct?
No, we do not send you home with a kid just for showing up. So you do have, there are checks and balances that need to go through, and the process can be a little bit arduous and tedious, but it's completely necessary when you consider that we're talking about the most vulnerable kids in our community here, and wanting to make sure that their needs are met, but that also you are prepared to care for the extraordinary circumstances that has brought them into care. So yeah.
I love that. Well, look, I think we could continue talking all night, and it's just so inspiring hearing about this. But more than just inspiring, I think this is also a call to action. It's a call for us to engage in foster care. It's a call to us to support our existing foster carers. It's a call to celebrate and honour Indigenous culture and heritage. And actually, I was blown away by the stat that you shared before, Rick, that 50% of Indigenous Australians, according to the Australian census, identify as Christian. I mean, this is something that we need to be proud of, but not take for granted and celebrate. In bringing it all to a close, I just wanted to say on behalf of everyone that is in our congregation, everyone that's connecting in, and I'm sure I could speak for many others, thank you. Thank you so much for what you would do. Thank you for bringing what you brought from Chicago, this passion for social justice, this strategic leadership heart, combining those together and making such an impact in the city of Perth, in the state of Western Australia, one child, one person at a time. We really do honour and treasure you. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for giving us the platform to share, and I might put some comments in later, but we'd love to continue the conversation with anyone who's interested in chatting. Well, I'm sure we'll put our comments in the link.
Absolutely, and we'll be seeing you around the Centrepoint family in the very near future. Thank you again. Have a wonderful night, and all the best with your big move.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, God bless. Okay, well, that was just incredible, wasn't it? I mean, what an incredible couple and what a great story, and something that we can actually practically do together. Now, we're going to come to the end in just a moment, but we've promised to have a bit of a moment to connect in with the newest member of the Centrepoint family. So in a moment, I'm going to connect in with Jairah. Before we get there, if you haven't sent in your picture yet, you need to do it right away, because we will be choosing the winner of a $50 Uber Eats voucher. So make sure you get that in. But in this moment, it gives me great pleasure to bring to our live stream Pastor Mitch and Pastor Taryn. And as much as it's great to see you guys, Jairah.
Hello, can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Let me turn that light.
We are good.
Asleep?
How are you? He's not asleep. Oh, yeah, he is.
Oh,
we're just fixing the light.
So
See if we can show you to everybody. Hello. He's massive. Look at him. He's a real chunky baby.
4.5 kilos, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Woo.
Wow. Congratulations. We are thrilled for you guys. And how are you doing? You have a newborn and then you're thrown into lockdown.
I know. Who would have thought? It's actually not changed really anything for us, which is delightful. I mean, I'm still spending every day in my PJs, so it's good. Mitch is working, trying to entertain Elijah at home. Look at his squishy face. But it's all good.
Look, there's a lot of comments coming in about congratulations and we missed you and all of that. There's a lot of love going around. And, it's pretty special that you could connect in with us tonight. We do appreciate it. Hey, you have a very important job tonight. Have you had a chance to get onto social media?
Pete, we have not had a chance. We're having a few technical difficulties, but
where am I meant to be looking?
I haven't seen any photos yet. You gave me one job.
I don't know what it is.
No, I gave you two jobs. I said if you can come on to our live stream, that would be fantastic, because the whole Centrepoint family wants to see a little Jairah, and you've done that. That was your main job. We are going to choose someone as the winner for tonight. Have you got someone?
I've got someone.
All right.
I am going to choose. Are we going to announce it?
Yeah, I'll do a bit of a drum roll, but I don't want to wake up Jairah.
Oh no, it's all right. He's got some Hamilton genes, so he's going to sleep through most things. We are going to choose Amy Cassidy and her beautiful boys and their guinea pigs during.
Oh, come on.
Down.
Well, fantastic. I can't wait. I can't do two things at once, so I can't be on social media and do the live stream, but very excited to see that picture. And congratulations, Amy. You've won $50 of Uber Eats. Make sure that you use it during lockdown that hopefully will end tomorrow night. But look, if not, church will be on. No matter what happens, church is on, either online or in person. And we can't wait to see you. Pastor Mitch, Pastor Taryn, little Jairah, we will catch you later.
See ya.
See ya. All right, everyone. Well, that brings our live stream to an end. We cannot wait to see you at church this week. Please stay on top of all of our social media posts. We'll also SMS out to everyone about any changes that come up. But look, I pray that your heart has been touched and moved as much as mine has tonight. And we are praying for you. Remember, if you need anything at all, our pastoral team is here. Our office phone has been redirected. Give us a call or send a message through via our Facebook page. We want to hear from you. We want to be able to support you in this time, but we can't wait to see you in person. Keep going with your devotions, and we will catch you next time. Have a wonderful night. God bless.